the justice system. The real question, the only one, the fundamental question is to say, me, I have this many villas that cost me this much money, which I earned through such and such a means. That is what the Senegalese want to hear.
The Senegalese Democratic Party is planning to seize regional and international bodies to try to cancel the vote that lifted the parliamentary immunity of 3 deputies, all of them former ministers of Abdoulaye Wade.
Malian troops, backed by French forces, have begun a counter-offensive against heavily armed rebels in the north of the country. Overnight fighting saw the capture of the strategic town of Mopti from the Mojao and Tuareg rebels. French fighter jets have continued sorties over the skies of Mali to help government troops dislodge the rebels from their strongholds. Details in this report.
These are the first images from the French military operation in Mali. They are Mirage fighter jets taking off from N'Djamena in Chad to engage in air raids against Islamist groups in Mali. The operation was announced by the French president on Friday.
In the name of France, I responded to the Malian president's request for help with support from West African countries. Consequently, French armed forces brought their support this afternoon to Malian units in their fight against these terrorist elements.
Support which appeared to be from the air first. At night, airstrikes intensified. Their target was Islamist positions like this one here. On Saturday, the Malian army said it was controlling the town of Kuna, which was in the hands of armed groups until 2 days ago. Some 100 jihadists were reportedly killed. A French helicopter pilot also died. The aim of the military intervention was to chase the Islamists out of North Mali. The United Nations had approved the intervention back in December. The operation was to be carried out by African contingents. However, the capture of Kuna by the jihadists and their advance towards Mopti accelerated things. Paris said it was urgent to respond to a friend's call.
We do understand that France has offered some immediate military support to the Malian armed forces at the request of the Malian government. We are obviously consulting very closely with the government of France going forward.
Many questions remain unanswered. One of them is the fate of the 8 French hostages held by the Islamists. Their kidnappers have said time and again that any kind of French intervention would be their death sentence.
Sectarian tensions have boiled again in Northern Ireland Friday night. There is still anger over the decision by Belfast city leaders to stop flying the British flag year-round. CNN Nick Robertson has more from Belfast.
Rain-drenched riot police in near-freezing conditions face off against mostly teenagers. This is a working-class suburb of Belfast. There is nothing, it seems, the young rioters won't hurl at the security services. This flashpoint, just one of several around Belfast.
This is typical of what the police have been facing up against on these lines. Fireworks being thrown at them, rocks being thrown, bottles being thrown at them. Look at the debris in the road, and you can see it. Rocks like this thrown at the police officers. And there's another firework right there, right at the officers.
Hours earlier, a different threat. A bomb squad robot delicately inches forward, and a small part of Belfast is brought to a standstill. The centre of attention, a suspect pipe bomb, one of many in recent weeks since tensions flared and protests began following the City Council's decision to limit the number of days Britain's Union flag flies. Many hours later, the scare proves to be a hoax.
In the protests so far, more than 107 people have been arrested, more than 66 police officers injured. It is the most sustained outbreak of violence in the 15 years since the peace agreement was signed, ending 3 decades of sectarian violence. There are fears of worse to come. Tensions are rising.
Almost every night since the December 3rd decision, some peaceful protests have turned into violent riots, the police bearing the brunt of the anger.
You got a small chip with a Hawaiian burger and a cheesy chip. I'll give you a cheesy chip, actually, put cheese on it.
Stuart McAleese's cafe has been on the front line. Customers are staying away.
So that's running about 30% of a normal Friday. Approximately £2,000 a week. That's how much we've dropped. One day, last week we dropped £1,000 in one day.
He is closing early, telling staff to stay at home. Says 4 more weeks like this and he'll be forced to shut the shop for good. Even so, he wants the union flag to be put back up.
I don't think the flag should have been taken down. That is my personal opinion. I don't think the flag should have been taken down. It's been there for years. I don't see how it causes any offence to anybody.
Above the City Hall, the empty flagstaff, now a symbol for many Protestants like McAleese of all they fear, of being dragged out of the union with Britain and into the Republic of Ireland, a long-held goal of some Catholics. Streets here are quieter than normal. Little sympathy for protesters from those who did brave a trip to the shops.
It's absolutely ridiculous. A lot of... they have nothing else to do.
Why? That's all I can say. Why?
Why are they doing it?
Why all the trouble? Is it worth it?
But for those at the core of the protest, nothing is dimming their claims.
This is the Progressive Unionist Party's challenge, formal challenge to the taking down of the flag on the designated days. We believe the process is flawed.
Although talks at reconciliation are underway, they are highlighting Protestant division more than resolving grievances.
More than the flag. It's more, there's a whole raft of things and issues that have been pushed upon the Protestant Unionist Loyalist community here, and the flag was just the straw that broke the camel's back.
CNN's Nick Robertson there reporting from Belfast, Ireland. We'll go for another break. The weather news is next. Well, before the weather news there, here's a press release. It has come to the notice of the Office of the President that many independent buyers of groundnut are offering higher prices to farmers this year and giving the farmers the opportunity to bargain the buying prices, as the ultimate objective of government is to empower farmers to get maximum benefit out of their farm produces. Our earlier press release banning the sale of groundnuts by farmers to independent buyers is hereby rescinded. Farmers can now sell their groundnuts to the highest bidders in a bid to increase their purchasing power and to adequately prepare for the next rainy season. However, farmers are advised that because the prices being offered may be so attractive, they should not sell all their farm produce. They should save some for use as seeds during the upcoming farming season, as well as some money for fertilizer. Government will not be in a position to continue to offer free seeds and free fertilizer to farmers, especially around this time when there is more money for their produce. Those independent buyers out at the fields are strictly being warned to abide by the rules of engagement and ensure that they are fully registered with the Gambia Revenue Authority for the VAT. The law enforcement agencies the release acts will monitor compliances, and anybody found wanting will be dealt with accordingly. That takes us to the weather news.
source assures us of a continuous flow, and from there, everything follows. And for those